Are you tired of the same old pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 4,000 hours of the best pro wrestling events from over 110 of the biggest names in the industry from over 15 countries around the globe. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to NXT Then Now Forever. I'm James Boyd and I'm here with Senior Analyst of Sportskeeda, SocialSuplex.com analyst, SocialSuplex.com podcast network all-star, Simon Cotton. What's going on, man?
And how you been? Doing all right? Watched some good wrestling and some great wrestling from New Japan today, so I'm in a good mood for once.
Oh, you ain't got nothing to say great about NXT? Nah? No?
I said good.
I'm sorry, this is audio medium, I know that, but if y'all saw the face he made on the podcast, he was like, how do I not lie while also not being, like, mean? That was fantastic. Yeah, so this is the makeup episode that, for those that missed last week's disclaimer at the beginning. We were actually missed out on doing Takeover, which we should have reviewed last week, but there was so much going on, and there was NBA Finals game, and sorry, the NBA Finals is always going to take precedent. Sorry, guys. So, but we are back, right? You know what I mean? But so anyway, we are going to make up for that. So we are going to do NXT Takeover, the first Takeover from I think May 29th of 2014, and also that week's following NXT. So to catch us up on the retro shows. So we'll be right back to per week 5 years ago. And then after this show, because we are recording right before before this week's NXT and also Game 3 of the NBA Finals, I will come back on later, and after the NBA Finals, I will watch this week's NXT, and then I will give you a solo review. But I do appreciate Simon for coming back on, just to give you guys a heads up of what's going on. So if you need to know a table of contents, timestamps, everything, I will leave that in the description per usual of the podcast. But for now, let's just get to NXT TakeOver.
Natalya in trouble. Could she tap out to her own submission maneuver? Natalya TakeOver. She's barely hanging on. Natalya with the
great counter and great counter there by Natalya. If anybody knows how to counter,
whoa! Natalya could lift it up, down to the queen. Charlotte into the cover of Natalya. Charlotte's the NXT Women's Champion.
Okay, so one of the things that I always like to do when I watch these old NXT shows is listen to some of the quotes, whether it be from the guy who does the voiceovers for a little intro, or if it's William Regal who's saying something interesting. And the first thing that struck out to me is this quote for the TakeOver show that is really telling considering the state of WWE right now, or at least its main roster. And I quote, "The only constant in life is change. Change is necessary. We must evolve or face extinction." So just want to put that out there. Granted, WWE ain't going to go extinct, but when it's clearly not good right now.
So are you saying that WWE right now is in a survival of the fittest, and they look fat as fuck right now? Is that what you're getting at?
Yep, and clearly behind them is a gazelle or a cheetah that's running it up and trying to take a bite out their ass. So,
see, I don't see WWE as being fat as fuck as much as like they're the dumbass that goes too far all over, extends himself on the limb, and the branch just breaks. And they fall to their untimely demise. Who knows? You know, chances are there is not a hard landing because they're insulated by their TV deals. But I don't know what's the turnaround 5 years from now after these TV deals are done with, because it seems like their whole entire storytelling creative process is fried, and we've been saying this well before Dean Ambrose. We've been saying this since like 2017, at least for me. Like, I've been critical on it as far as the storytelling, from picking up and dropping stuff, from doing stuff at random, from the Crash TV gag site stuff they do, which, I mean, some of that stuff's always been in wrestling, but it's that's supposed to be like the trash stuff between the good stuff, as opposed to now where it is the trash stuff between the other trash stuff. So, I mean, the wrestling is good as it's ever been, bell to bell action, but even that has its problem. Like, there was the 6-man tag on Raw. I didn't watch Raw or SmackDown. I only heard about it. The 6-man tag between the Usos or the Bloodline, Usos and Roman versus McIntyre and the Revival. That's like a 13, 14-minute match, and it had 2 commercial breaks in that. Yep. So we're just 8 minutes? We're just taking 8 minutes out of or 8 to 10 minutes out of a 13-minute match? Why?
Forget the fans who are watching on TV and the people who are watching that in the stadium. We got to get these sponsors in, because we need a commercial break this early, when meanwhile there's been talking segments that go 20 minutes, especially when Triple H shows up. But, never mind that.
I mean, there's always a balance to find, right? Like, I'm not saying it's, don't put any commercials between matches. I'm saying come up with a medium to where you can be able to entertain your fans and also not mess up the match story that only the people in the crowd see. Like,
they already had that though with SmackDown, so it's like, why aren't they implementing that with Raw?
Right, I know you're talking about like pretty much before the aside of the main event, like at the beginning of the first hour, how they had those cutting commercials. I get you. I'm thinking more or less like, I'm me personally. I am, as a wrestling fan that does reviews or was doing reviews weekly for these shows. I am quite frustrated by. I watch a match. We leave the match, we come back, and the crowd is hot, and I have no idea why the crowd is hot. Sometimes they show me, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they'll show stuff that leads you to believe, like, why would the crowd react that way to that? Whatever. So it's really frustrating, and I mean, it's also frustrating at times when you watch it in these NXT shows right now, current. Like, they don't do this anymore, where they cut in the middle of a main event match where they'll cut to a commercial break. But they were doing this 5 years ago, and so on some of these retro shows, you'll hear me put that in the notes that, like, specifically, they cut to a commercial break on a network that is subscription paid based to put another commercial for the fucking network. What kind of Inception shit is this? Right? But anyway, we've gotten way off track, and but we're gonna get to it. Show starts off with Camacho versus Adam Rose. Adam Rose comes out first. He starts while outside of Full Sail walking in, and next to him at the very front is his future WrestleMania main event winner, Becky Lynch, dressed. I don't know what she's supposed to be dressed like. I don't know, but she's awfully happy. Or something. Like what?
I think she's supposed to be a fairy or something. I honestly don't know.
But isn't that Alexa Bliss's gimmick, that she's a cheerleader fairy? No, were they supposed to be a tag team?
I thought her gimmick was untalented.
That's not a gimmick. That is, I mean, well, there have been people that had gimmicks that they were untalented, like David Flair, for example, and stuff like that. And there have been, but that's not really what it's not. That's not what it's supposed to be. It's not what it's supposed to be. She was supposed to be at one point like a Harley Quinn type of aesthetic, mean girl thing, mean girl manipulative genius, but she kind of does that kind of well, aside from when they give her bad scripting, like they give everybody bad scripting and bad TV segments.
If you say...
So do you... Never mind. That's a conversation for another time. It's a conversation for another time with Alexa Bliss. I'm sorry. We got to move on. So, then out comes Camacho. Camacho's in great shape. He comes out looking like a straight out of the WWE like playbook. Like, you see him and you're like, okay, so I see what it was. Camacho, Roman, Jason Jordan, like, and then whoever else they were come down the line. Like, that was what the Performance Center was supposed to like pull off of the assembly line of all guys that look like David Otunga / John Cena. But some guys have to be able to work and be charismatic.
Man, this Camacho stuff is hilarious. was watching him coming out to that generic Hispanic music, spotting his freshest khakis and high tops.
Yes. Okay. So he's from Juarez, Mexico, by way of Southern California, but we never mentioned the by way of Southern California. Like, he's supposed to be... Never mind. He's supposed to be like some East LA dude, but he's not an East LA dude. He's from Juarez, but they don't know enough people to know that there's a difference amongst that, you know. No. That's just... Nah. So
he's from the streets.
So they have a match. I'm okay. So it starts off with some real Bugs Bunny shit to begin with. Like Camacho gets him at a full Nelson. Adam Rose has no way to. He doesn't know how to get out of it. So he says, "I'm just gonna grind on this man." So why are you looking at me like that? Sorry, why did you look at me like that? What?
I ain't mean to do that. It's just, the moment I saw Adam Rose, I'm like, I don't like. I got a note in here, just focusing on him. Like, what did people see in Adam Rose again? Because his, like, what's his gimmick? Is it because the only thing I really ever liked about him was his entrance song? I'm like, okay, what happens when he gets in the ring? Oh, nothing.
He's Russell Brand. That's his gimmick. He's Russell Brand. That's literally his gimmick, and that's cool because like that's something. But you know, it's one of those things where like once they got onto the main roster, I thought that the interest was going to be so over that he would be able to buy him some time until he's able to get, you know, brought into the mid card, you know, level or whatever else.
The Fandango effect, huh?
I thought it had more legs than Fandango because there were so many different parts to play with. Like Fandango is he's a dancer, and then that about it. With Rose, like he had the bunny, he had the rosebuds, he had the dance. You could have had a bunch of different heels like try to mess with him. You had a bunch of different like outs to do like fun like storytelling finishes with all that stuff he had in his bag. But, you know, probably was too small for Vince's liking. Probably thought it was too much of a comedy act for it to have any real, you know, legs. And he said, it's a comedy act, let's bring it up for the time being and then have him fight his bunny for shine. And that's where he ended up.
Did they ever identify who the bunny is?
No, and I've been trying to figure it out for a while.
I think they said at one point it was Justin Gabriel.
Look, you know what? You know what it probably was? The bunny was probably on some Black Scorpion shit for like all of a sudden like, oh, it's one person this week, then the next week, and then like when it's time for a big reveal, like it'll be the equivalent of like how Ric Flair was the Black Scorpion. Like it's probably something like that.
It's Sin Cara, ain't it?
Oh my god.
not Hunico either. It's another Sin Cara.
Oh my god, nah, I'd love to say like if Unico was the bunny, they should be tag team champions and still be undefeated. Ain't nobody whooping Unico. Period.
Not at all.
Yeah. So anyway, they like I said, full Nelson. He gets out of it by grinding into Camacho. Camacho say he don't play that, so he stomps the hell out of Adam Rose. And while he's stomping him out, I think Todd Phillips, he mentions that Camacho is from Juarez, Mexico, and then in my notes I write, yeah, and I'm from England, Sussex to be precise. Yeah, so he mounts a comeback with punches. Adam Rose mounts some with punches, and he gets a spine buster. The crowd then chants, "We are Rosebuds," and there's one dissenter in the crowd that chants, "I'm a lemon." We get. You sure you weren't in Orlando on May 29th, 2014, Simon?
I don't associate. I don't usually rebel by calling myself a type of fruit, so I don't know.
Oh my god!
Like, I wouldn't have responded. Period. My response would have been to just stand there looking at y'all, talking about we are rosebuds.
Oh my
Don't
god.
be a lemon.
Hey man, you gotta Simon, you gotta let that toxic masculinity go. This man said I would not call myself a fruit.
That's not why I meant it.
It's figurative, man. It's figurative.
Can we do that part over?
No, you're good. It's good.
Yeah.
So, where are we now? Yeah, so Adam Rose hits the Bronco Buster in the corner. Then he ends up hitting his snap mirror driver for the win. Post-match on commentary, Regal says that he once met Elvis impersonator that does a wonderful rendition of Blue Suede Shoe.
What?
Elvis used to do a song called Blue Suede Shoes. He said he met a one-legged Elvis impersonator that did a great rendition of Blue Suede Shoe.
And that, you know what? It's Adam Rose. Whatever.
Okay, so we're showing a highlight video of Sami Zayn, and it follows his journey and also his matchup against Tyler Breeze tonight. He said that the Cesaro matchup put him on the map at NXT Arrival. He says that he's been so driven on following his dreams that he hasn't been the best brother to his brother, or the best son to his parents, or even the best friend to some of his friends, because he's so driven to make it to the top. And Tyler Breeze's focus is more on what's in front of his face. That's why he's always looking at his phone. And he mentions that, but while they're different, they both share the same goal of becoming the number one contender for the NXT Championship. I thought this was good. That promo, anyway. Yeah,
and it's kind of funny when you consider the fact that when he makes that line about not being the best friend to some of his other friends, like a year later, Kevin Owens comes in and whips his country ass.
So after this, we end up getting, it's Ascension time. It's Ya time. It's
no. Before then, Brandy Rose makes an announcement informing everyone in the audience that Tyler Breeze has in fact come into the building.
Okay, like I know that, like I know that when me and you get on the mic, we go to digressing. That's not helping. So we gotta try to get this under control. Otherwise, we're gonna be doing this part for like, we won't get out of Takeover until the finals already like at halftime. So yes, that did happen. So then we end up getting it's Yacht time. It's Ascension versus El Local, which is Ricardo Rodriguez and Kalisto.
This was actually like really good. I forgot how good the Ascension was.
You like this match? I thought it was just okay.
Yeah, I mean, like I wrote down stars for some of these stuff, and I gave it like a 3.25. Like,
huh? Okay.
I could have dealt without them beating up the little guy for 7 minutes, but at least it was fun. Like they didn't just do clothesline, headlock, punch, kick, clothesline, headlock.
That's true. Like, like most of the matches, they end up they bum rush the baby faces. They end up isolating Kalisto in their side of the corner, and they keep tagging in and out. There's a whole spot where Kalisto ends up outside the ropes after getting picked up and thrown from the floor against one of the ropes. They go for that again, but this time he's locked on the middle rope, and he ends up kicking Connor. Victor ends up eating the apron. Connor gets in and cuts him off before he can actually tag in. Victor tags back in, and then he actually is able to tag in. I almost called him Roberto. Tagging El Local for a hot tag. He does some stuff. He almost botches a springboard crossbody, and then he goes to charge, and Victor ends up hitting a clothesline, and then they tag in Connor, and they hit their high-low combination finish in the middle for the win.
Yeah, like how long were they champions for? It was ridiculous.
Ooh, I'm trying to remember who takes the belts off of them.
I think it was
Lucha Dragons?
Yeah.
Yeah, so okay, Lucha Dragons, that means he had to dump Ricardo and bring in Sin Cara, so that's probably maybe at the most, maybe that's next Takeover, maybe that's the one after that. I don't know.
Well, I can see why these guys like this match. Like, it's crazy watching some of this stuff. You're like, oh, these guys could have done a little bit more. Granted, they had a pretty strong start wrestling the New Age Outlaws like a year after they had just beaten the Rhodes Brothers at the Royal Rumble and Raw on some good matches. So it's not like they didn't give him anything.
But they killed them off real quick though. Like they were dead. I forgot when they brought them in, but they were dead by like that Raw 25 when they brought in like Sid and APA and Lita, and they've been dead ever since then. They've been dead for like 4 years, and the only time they ever had any other real shine, or 2 other times, was when they were basically following behind the Fashion Police, and then when they were trying to do that Connor push last year. So that's really about it.
I want to thank whoever stopped that. Good
Common
Lord.
sense.
I mean, in this company.
I mean, look, they don't get everything wrong. It was just that Raw was so weak as a roster because it was Revival, it was Rude and Gable, who was a team they made out of nothing and no one believed in because like they were nothing before they got together, and they were more or less like a more credible version of Ryder and Hawkins. A lot more talented too, and a lot less like stink on them of being losers for forever. But like you had that, and then the champions at the time were going into that whole year was Hardy and Wyatt, and then they broke that up. The Raw division was just so weak all last year, and then they decided let's keep it weak, even though we have the Usos. Or actually, let's just make all the tag team wrestling weak. That's really what happened.
Yeah, like I'm saying, it's weak now, but let's digress.
Yeah. Like maybe it'll get back better like once Kofi, like the New Day, they let New Day actually be in the tag team hunt with or without Kofi. Whenever they do that, it'll get better.
Depending on what happens this Friday, that might be sooner than we would hope.
Yeah. And then there's also the they have Cesaro and Ricochet going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And the last time Cesaro was going back and forth like that with somebody's when they made the bar. So what if they do that again? You're like, yeah, well, you will forever be a tag team wrestler. So,
oh man,
yeah. So we end up getting a video package of Tyler Breeze. It hypes up his match with Sami Zayn. He says that everybody has a cell phone and everybody has a camera on their cell phone, but not everybody has a camera pointing at him. He says that he's gorgeous, and then they end up showing a backstage segment where a young Alexa Bliss he asks a young Alexa Bliss if she wants to take a picture, a selfie with him. She says yes, and she tries to get into the frame, but he says, no, I wanted you to take a picture of me because he's a perfect asshole. So
and Alexa Bliss never forgot that moment.
Yeah, I mean, who became the bigger star? You tell me. So. So he says he's not just pretty, he's also tough, and he says that Sami Zayn is a failure and he's a success, and it's time for an NXT champion. It's time to have an NXT champion that's also, eye up, head cocked to the side, gorgeous. He does that upward inflection like it's a question mark.
When I heard this, I immediately remembered that was it Stardust or was it somebody else who they tried to say was ugly? I'm thinking like at one point Cody Rhodes said Sin Cara was ugly under the mask. For some reason, I think somebody else said that about Neville too. Yeah,
they've been doing that with luchadors for decades, saying that like masked wrestlers are ugly. Maybe it was Daniel Bryan because of the goat face thing that they were doing for years with him, even 5 years ago.
Yeah, you never know.
More than 5 years ago, they've been doing that since like Raw 1000.
Yeah,
yikes,
basically.
Yikes.
Hey, it made him money, except for that one crazy looking shirt that we ain't gonna talk about.
Wow. I mean, there was also the one when they were doing the Yes mode when it was a Brian last summer or after SummerSlam when they did that mixed tag between the couples, and it was Brie and it was Daniel Bryan, and they had Brie on the picture or in cartoon, and they had him who's shorter than his wife in there with like goat features. They quick to mess around. Also, the Team Hell No shirt they did last year too. That also sucked.
Stop. Move on.
Yeah. You wonder why Daniel Bryan said, "I'm turning heel." So out comes Sami Zayn with what is now his classic NXT theme music, which I've always said sounds like some shit that's fresh out of Mario Kart 64. We get Tyler Breeze with his new, or what is now his known music when he's doing the Right Said Fred shit. Also, he put auto-tune in that joint, like in the second verse, which is hilarious. In my notes, I write, because he has new gear, Tyler Breeze. I said, Tyler Breeze looks like he wants to be Dolph Ziggler wanting to be Shawn Michaels.
That's exactly what I thought about him the first time I heard of him.
Like, Tyler Breeze's music starts with the lyrics, "Look at my eyes, tell me what you see." And, like, what I want to tell back to him is he looks like he wants to show the world that he's not your boy toy. That's what he looks like. Like, all that put together. Like, yeah. So, the match starts with both of them jockeying around and trading holds on the arm. There's a sequence where Sammy does a few arm drags and then grabs a hold of the arm again. So they go back and forth doing some more simple mat wrestling until Sammy gets to the top turnbuckle and sits on the top turnbuckle. Breeze ends up charging. Sammy gets the boot up, and Tyler catches the boot and basically whips it outside towards the floor. So Sammy goes basically twisting off the top turnbuckle and falls to the floor on a back bump. It looked bad. Sammy ends up beating the count at 7. Tyler ends up stomping him against the bottom turnbuckle. Breeze ends up giving him a middle bulldog into middle rope. Tyler ends up slapping Sammy in a front face lock, and it takes him down to the mat. He wears down on him for a little while down there, and then Sammy fights back to his feet. Breeze ends up back on his feet with Sammy, and then Sammy actually like tosses him off of him, and then Breeze charges at Sammy, and then Sammy low bridges the top rope, and Breeze goes flying over the top to the floor. Sammy ends up going out to the apron, and he does that crazy suicide Arabian moonsault deal. He gets back in the ring, and he hits a top rope crossbody for a 2 count. Sammy hits a rear waist lock, and then Breeze fights. To get free, he tries to hit the ropes, and then Sammy grabs the tights, and then hits him with a Blue Thunder Bomb for a 2 count. Sammy ducks a dive, and then Sammy comes charging, and Breeze hits a super kick for a great near fall. Actually, I know. Super kick, this huge elevated DDT, and then a near fall. Then it starts getting wonky, and they start trying to go for it. They start trying to go get 4 3/4. So there's a spot towards the end where Sammy basically gets him in a powerbomb position with both arms like in a pup handle position, while also basically he goes up to try to give him like this like flipping powerbomb deal, but
it looked like a mess, to be honest.
Yeah, like I saw what they were trying to do, and if they landed, it would have been awesome, but they screwed it up. But basically, it doesn't work out, or it was countered into a small package by Breeze, but Sammy powers through by rolling all the way through, and then while powering up out of the small package, Breeze has a guillotine choke wrapped on him with the legs hooked. So Sammy basically, he wraps his hand over Breeze's head like in a vertical suplex position. He basically is trying to give him a upward flip and give him a sit out power bomb, but he's too close, and he kind of clips Breeze on the way down, but it still lands in place for a 2 count. The crowd loses shit because they nearly landed this incredible move. So they end up going back and forth a little bit more, and then Sammy is about to set up for a haluva kick. He rolls out the way. Then we end up in a situation where they end up back in the ring, and he goes for another haluva kick, and he's clearly has Breeze beaten. Breeze ducks down and puts up his arms to block the shot, and Sammy accidentally low blows himself on Breeze's arms, and then the ref checks to see why he's down, so Breeze gets up, hits the supermodel kick, that spinning heel kick, and gets the W.
Man, I've seen stupid ways to lose a match, but this one right here, in honor of this incredibly goofy finish, I would like to institute, and especially in honor of the show on LOP coming to a close, I'm instituting the LeBron James U-Ball throwback. and the winner is Sami Zayn. So how the hell you get your own nuts clipped and then you lose a match because you was going too fast?
Look, I've seen people lose in worse ways, but this was truly creative. This was truly a creative way to embarrass somebody, and this is proof that this stuff depends on your audience, right? So in NXT, because Sami Zayn has credibility, he can be a babyface that slips on a banana peel in this embarrassing way and lose, and still eventually, what is it? I think 2 takeovers from now wins the title. Mm-hmm. Whereas if this had been on the main roster, I don't think he never recovers from this. He never recovers from this so it's definitely a tale of 2 different audiences, and luckily NXT has the credibility in the more supportive fan base to be able to let somebody survive something like this, as opposed to it just be done. Be like, oh, this, you may as well take him out back and shoot him with a shotgun.
Basically.
Okay, so after this match, we get
is that the segment with Rusev, Lana, and Mojo Rawley?
Out comes Lana. She does 2 twirls around. Not the usual one, but 2. She was really feeling it tonight. So she introduces and brings out Rusev, and they come down to the ring. Swinging the Russian flag, which is not as violent as he usually swings it, but that's more to come. So on commentary, Regal says that Rusev will be a success on the main roster. He says that he's big, he's strong, he's resilient, and he's tough.
And the one before that is, I don't see anything that could possibly go wrong with this man's career.
Yeah. I mean, look, they were right for a good chunk. Like, and honestly, it took me a while to actually warm up to Rusev, because for me, it was like, he's OP. He's just too powerful. Like, is he going to be the champion? No? Well, then what are we doing here?
Beating John Cena to kickstart one of the best United States Championship runs of the past 10 years.
But do you think that Cena beating Rusev is what got Cena the juice, or do you think the fact that the top guy in the company was taking a mid-card title because they wanted, or they were planning on having Roman Reigns be the top guy, be the main eventer while working on the job, even though he hadn't done it yet?
I mean, when you look at who the next 2 champions, Alberto Del Rio and Kalisto, and what happened to that title, of course the answer is because Cena was the top star.
No. I'm saying, like, okay, so I'm not saying that it's one or the other. I'm saying, like, which one do you think is a bigger deal, though?
Definitely the top star one.
Okay.
Because they treat him, because John Cena ain't like Roman Reigns. They treat him with a certain level of respect, because John Cena ain't going for that. You seen when the booking getting crazy in this era, John Cena left.
Oh, man.
He was what the hell is y'all doing?
Oh, man.
What the hell is going on up there? You get me when you get your act together.
Yeah, man, like, I feel like Cena, like, his whole career is just, like, completely different, like, the second he wins at Royal Rumble 2017. Or you could say once he loses it at Elimination Chamber, like, the second he loses it, like that was like his last hurrahs as a wrestling force. He saw the writing on the wall, like, really, 2 weeks. I mean, okay. Like, in retrospect, you almost wonder, like, how much were, like, Brie and John Cena really, or I'm sorry, Brie, Nikki and John Cena into, like, that whole angle at WrestleMania? We're like, do you think they really actually want to do that, either both of them or either one of them?
No, they probably proposed to each other like 6 months ahead of this, and Vince McMahon said, wait a minute, I got an idea for WrestleMania now.
Yeah, like, we're going to try and get ourselves a Macho Man moment. Like, bro.
Only for them 2 to break up a year later. And I remember leaving a comment under whichever magazine broke the story. I'm like, you telling me I sat through that match at WrestleMania 33 for this?
Yeah. I mean, really, the only thing we got out of that was worth a damn was, like, I mean, the promos and the build were, like,
they were
really good. Really good. But
that was the best stuff of Miz's career, man.
It's up there. It is really up there. Yeah. But I mean, everyone knew the match wasn't going to be hitting on done, and it wasn't. And then, like, I'll say this: the proposal, he gave a good ass proposal. I'll give him that. But in retrospect, it just feels like a gigantic time waste because, unfortunately, like this man has no control over. He can't book love, but it blew up in their face and quicker than it should have. Anyway, so Lana says that much like how Russia has expanded his power and reached into Europe, Rusev has expanded his power into SmackDown and Raw, and he's back in NXT to receive his adulation from the peasants he stomped on his way to get to the main roster. So, she tells the crowd to rise to their feet and pay respect to the great Rusev. Then out comes Mojo Rawley with an American flag that doesn't fully unfurl until probably the fifth or sixth wave of the flag.
That's an omen. That's an omen. Now. If only they had seen it.
Yeah, you're probably right. Like, you can't even do this right, bro. You didn't think to unfurl the flag first before we're trying to wave this thing. Anyway, so he says that Mojo Rawley gets on the mic and says that he's hearing a lot of hype about Russia, but right now we're in the USA, and in the USA we don't get hype, we stay hype.
Before there was Cocaine Shane, there was Cocaine Mojo.
So he says that he thinks it's time for him to come down to that ring and shove that flag right up Rusev's Putin. No, for real. That's the joke. Laugh, y'all. People listen to this, laugh. Ha ha.
Yeah, it's like I'm watching an Adam Sandler movie.
Boy. I mean, look.
Not one of the good ones.
This is what I'll say. John Cena would have tried that line, and because John Cena is more charismatic than Mojo and is more over, it may have worked. Same thing for The Rock, other people in the past. But once you give it to somebody that's trying to build, like Mojo and NXT, or if they, thank God they never gave that to Roman. But if they gave it to Roman, they've been right next to the suffering succotash.
Now I was just about to mention that, and how Roman went to Dean, like, bro, help me.
See, like, this is a thing, like, after a certain amount of time, I want to say maybe, like, once Roman started, like, showing his worth, like, in big matches, like, so you get, like, once you get for example, like, that Hell in a Cell match with Bray Wyatt, the match awesome at WrestleMania 31 with Brock, and some of the AJ stuff, at a certain point for me, it was like, look, he doesn't have it on the mic, or his charisma doesn't come off in the way that they think it does, clearly, but he has the look, he always tries hard. They book him like shit, just like they book everybody else like shit. So I can't blame that on him. But that dude's talented, and he seems to be getting better every single year that I see him. I'm gonna lay off, and I'm just gonna complain about his booking, and I'm complaining about how it's a drag to see him get booed all the time, right? Yeah. And then sure enough, like, once 2017, I'm like, look, man, this ain't about Roman. This is about this fucking company. Or this is about this company, like, not knowing how to book baby faces, and everything struggling after that because they don't know how to make people look cool, or people you inspire to be, or relatable, or people that you just want to root for and tune in to watch. Like, they're not good at making compelling personalities right now, and Roman is a victim, is just like everybody else, even if he's the top guy. Anyway,
and they're definitely not good at making people who aren't charismatic be charismatic, as in the case of Mojo Rawley here.
Yeah. Like, you would think with some of the guys that just don't translate on TV, and I think Mojo kind of does translate on TV, but the thing is, like, he's a geek, so no one's buying it. But, like, someone like Corbin or whatever else, just sit them in the back and let them do seated interviews. Why is it that hard? It's not a mandate that you have to go out to the ring in the center ring and cut a 5-minute promo. You don't have to do that. These are choices that you're making. And so, anyway, oh my God, my notes just jumped all the way to the top. Yeah. So, go ahead.
I was saying we're right at Rusev beating the piss out of Mojo Rawley.
Right. So he gets his ass in the ring, and then Rusev he runs down to the ring, Mojo Rawley, and in my notes say this fucking geek slides in and catches a Machka kick. Rusev punches him in the face and then rips his shirt off, and then he throws him out. Or it throws him out of the ring, and then throws him into the ring, and then splashes him in the corner, and then slaps on the accolade. I said in the notes, I wish he never let go. And then Lana tells him to cease, and I've never been so disappointed in someone in my life that I don't know. Rusev then tosses that geek out of the ring, and then Rusev celebrates, and then Lana tells him to crush. So he goes out the ring and follows Mojo up the ramp, and then slaps the accolade on that man on the ramp, which, because it's on the ramp or on an announce table, that means it's even more painful. And then
Pain and
wrestling logic. So, like, once you do something on an elevated position that's not ring canvas, it's more painful. So,
yep. Thank God it wasn't the steel steps. That man would have been done for.
Dunzo. He'd have to quit the business. So, the American flag that Mojo brought to the ramp is in the background as he's getting choked out. I thought it was a nice touch. So that's the end of that segment, and then we move on to a video package for Charlotte for the NXT title. They both put over that they strive to be the best because of their uncle and their dad. Charlotte's kind of like meekly talking, saying that she didn't know if she could live up to the Flair name, and she believes she can now. And she was going
to live up to it. By hook or by crook.
I mean, look, it's good. Look, I'll say this. I think it's a lot better that it's by hook now instead of just crook, right?
She got the talent. It's just like this company doesn't understand the concept of taking their time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but okay. This one thing I don't think they should be doing this, but this is their logic. Me and Rich were talking about this for a while, like maybe even back then when like the Horsewomen started having those bangers on takeovers, right? Starting with this match and moving forward. That whole year. So, I was saying, like, okay, so for one reason or another, ageism and sexism, or those one reason or another, the women don't have as long careers, their top stars don't have as long careers or tenures as the male stars. So, we might have Charlotte, Sasha, Becky, Bayley for 5 years, 6 years, and then we're done after that. Sasha is doing whatever she's doing. She's chilling right now. Who knows what her exit strategy is? Strategy is or not. But she's in limbo. Who knows how much longer we're gonna have them? I don't know if we're gonna have Charlotte, Becky, and Bayley for another 15 or 10 years or 5 years or whatever. But it'd be nice. But Vince, look at how they talk about Mickie James on her whenever she's on TV. They act like she's like 58 years old instead of 38. So,
this is ridiculous. First of all, the woman looks great for her age. She's still a great damn wrestler.
Right.
She's one of the best. She's one of the better talkers out of all the women in the division.
Charisma.
We putting this woman off to the side so we can get more Lacey Evans. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And I just saw a report today that she just got injured or had something wrong with her shoulder, I think. So now she's gone for like another year or whatever.
Mickey?
Yeah, I think it was her. So it was like, it's ridiculous.
I don't know.
Thank God Natalya. I don't know what Natalya's been doing, but I don't even remember her getting injured like in her entire career.
I mean, one, she's kind of older school. She had to work that circuit. And also, she doesn't really do much crazy stuff, so she's probably able to keep herself well protected as opposed to someone like Sasha, who part of her reason why her matches work so well is because she splats and bumps like a mad woman, or someone like Charlotte who she does the moonsault when she's that size and has these women that she's so much bigger than trying to not spot her, basically be like people that catch her. So they run into that issue, and then like people that can catch her, like Nia damn near killed her that one time. Right? So
I was like, bro, no.
Right, and then you have Bayley. Like Bayley would be straight if not for like Nia throwing her right on her fucking shoulder that one time. So,
is there any of the 4 horsewomen that Nia hasn't messed up?
Sasha, that's it.
We sure?
Like, remember, okay, so in that same match where she damn near killed Charlotte by not catching her with that moonsault right, she also gave her a shoulder breaker by dropping her, instead of the shoulder on the knee, it was her head on the knee. It was Charlotte's head that hit the knee. So there was that. There was a time where Nia ended up dropping, like I said, Bayley on her shoulder twice in one match and separated her shoulder. There was also the thing with Becky where Becky ends up, the go home show for SummerSlam or Survivor Series this year or last year was she ends up accidentally throwing a work punch and ends up breaking Becky's nose.
Why do you accident? You know what? Never mind. Let's not even talk about. Move on. We will be here all day.
Former basketball player. How many former collegiate basketball players you know that are that clumsy?
I think you said it all with that comment. So
yeah, football players, yeah, like brute strength, not much coordination. Nah, you gotta be whatever. Yeah. So we end up getting Charlotte. She comes down to the ring with her new music, with the mashup of her original music and also the Ric Flair stuff that is now her classic theme. Then we end up getting Natalya down to the ring with Brett. Brett and Rick are both ringside. Oh yeah, so funny part about when Charlotte and Ric Flair came down, Regal dropped a great line. He says, I have goosebumps seeing Ric Flair come down here, and also my liver has began to shake.
Oh, that's not. Well, I mean, it is fair, but
look,
what's the Stephen A. line? I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah. Let's be nice. Look, in retrospect, it's a little bit more grim. Back then, it was like, oh yeah, everyone knows that like Rick is a crazy partier. We'll put quotation marks around partier.
Yeah,
it's a euphemism for alcoholism. But
he still is. You seen that comment he made about Shawn Michaels? From that documentary that dropped like 2 years ago?
No. What was it?
Like Michael said, like, I don't think Ric Flair ever learned who Richard Flair is. And then Ric Flair was like, bro, who are you to talk to me like that? Man, you idolize me. I'm gonna still be doing what I do. And it's the mark in me thinking, is this better not be leading to no goddamn match?
Ric Flair at 70. Okay, I'll put it like this. I want to say that back when he was still going and escorting Charlotte around in 2015 and 16, I said to Rich, how many quality minutes do you think Ric Flair can go right now? 5. And I think we both came to the conclusion that he can give us 5 quality minutes of wrestling time right now, still to this day. But now, I think he could be a manager that took bumps. I wouldn't suggest that he do that anymore, but I think he probably could if he can get clearance. And I'll leave it at that.
I mean, when you're one of the greats, you can kind of do what you can kind of do whatever, I guess.
Yeah. Oh man, I wonder if he's still lifting again. He's still out. He was probably the reason why he survived the last health scare, the one back in 2017, is because he was still in good shape for his age. Anyway, the match starts and they end up trading back and forth for hammer locks and side headlocks and wrist locks and head scissors. Natalya picks a leg and it slaps on a knee crank. They go back and forth with more basic wrestling and mat stuff. They hit the ropes and they hit the ropes and Natalya ends up going for a wheelbarrow pin attempt. Charlotte kicks and then slaps on a body scissors. Charlotte fights and turns around into a situation where Natty has full guard while Charlotte is throwing forearm shots from the top to the bottom. Charlotte ends up banging Natty's head against the mat, and then Natty ends up sliding her leg over and then turns in transition to an armbar attempt, but Charlotte scurries out of it. Charlotte slaps Natty, and then Natty slaps her back even harder. Natty ends up going for a schoolboy. Charlotte gets up and lands knee lifts, and then a tornado knife edge chop that brings Natty to her knees, and then Ric Flair climbs halfway up the apron and woos at Natty over and over, and then he starts heading towards Bret and starts wooing because he starts losing his mind, and then they show Bret, and Bret has a smirk on his face trying not to laugh, kind of similar to like the face that he made at MJF at Double or Nothing. So
Bret smiling is such an odd sight to me.
Oh man, are you really one of those like Bret's bitter and never has no joy in his life ever? Are you one of those?
No, I ain't saying he had no joy. Hey, I'm just saying you could be a happy person and just not be smiling like that. And I think he's one of them people.
I got my on me, Simon. Okay. I don't trust nobody that's got bad things to say about Bret Hart. Anyway,
that's not a bad thing. That's just an observation. A bad thing would be saying Shawn Michaels is way better than him or something ridiculous.
I mean, if you like Shawn more than Bret, or you think that there's no contest, cool. But if you out here saying that Bret wasn't great, then that's when I'm like, look.
No, I'm saying no contest is kind of a stretch because like you put their matches up together and like they're neck and neck down there. Like you look at the best of Bret and the best of Shawn, and I'd say it's a pretty good argument.
I think that Shawn has the benefit of just being younger and able to have more matches in a era where there's in an era with more good workers.
Right, because let Bret have got a hold of Kurt Angle,
dude,
or Daniel Bryan or somebody, man.
Like, I wonder how awesome Bret would be like in this era right now. I really like.
He'd be losing his mind. Like I don't have to work as hard no more.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, it wouldn't be no more Tom McGee's. It would be Drew McIntyre's. So yeah, Charlotte ends up getting Natty into a corner, and then she ends up landing some back elbows while she has her pressed up against and sandwiched between the corner and her body. So Natty ends up jumping on Charlotte's back with a rear choke, and then Charlotte ends up getting her off her with a backpack jawbreaker. For a 2 count. So then Charlotte slaps on a figure 4 headlock, and then Natty ends up getting out of it. Charlotte slaps on Charlotte slaps on an abdominal stretch. Natty reverses out of it and then lifts up that back leg to make it look even more gruesome and painful than normal. Natty ends up letting go and rolls and goes for a backslide, and Charlotte rolls all the way through, gets to her feet, and lands a shotgun drop kick to Natty's face. Natty starts to come back with a butterfly suplex, a clothesline, a snapmare, and then she hits the ropes and does her normal stomp to the back that makes people that are seated hit their head on the canvas, and then she comes back and hits the shotgun drop kick or basement drop kick. She goes for the pin. Charlotte kicks it too. Natty whips Charlotte into the corner. She does this variation of going over the top rope, whether like it's Flair or it's Triple H or it's Shawn. She does that flip over deal. Natty charges and shoves Charlotte off the apron to the floor. She goes out after Charlotte and gets back to her feet and grabs Charlotte on the apron. She puts Natty. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. She goes, whatever. This is too long. Let's skip straight to it. Yeah. So basically, they get back into the ring and Charlotte gets advantage. And goes for a pinfall. The ref of this match is actually Charles Robinson, Lineage, which is hilarious because a couple years later they have that tag match with both Bret and Rick in each corner, and they do a screw job finish, and it's fun. And the whole thought was, well, that's Lineage because you're supposed to remember the WCW shit. But anyway, they didn't do that this time, so he counts a legit 2 count. Natty kicks, and then Rick yells at Lineage, "Hey, are you going to count? Are you going to count right?" So then Charlotte has her close to a corner, so she goes up for a moonsault, but Natty rolls out of the way as she hits the canvas, Charlotte. So then Ric Flair, they cut to a shot of Ric Flair, and he looks like Willem Dafoe when he was high off that goblin juice in the first Spider-Man movie. So we end up getting a tornado DDT for a near fall from Natty. Charlotte we end up getting a kick out from there, and then she ends up going for a sharpshooter. Charlotte fights to the ropes, but Natty ends up moving her back to the center of the ring. So Charlotte rolls through, and then it counters it into a figure 4 leg lock. Natty reverses the figure 4. Charlotte turns it back over, and lifts up and then slaps Natty in the face. Natty reverses the figure 4 again the other way.
That's one of my one gripes with the figure 4 is when they do all the rolling around.
Mm-hmm.
You do it one time, cool. I don't need to see you going for a ride, flipping 3-4 times.
Yeah, I agree with you. So they do it the second time after that first slap from Charlotte to Natty. They roll through and reverse it. I'm going to say put in game, not flip and reverse it. Sorry. Natty reverses it. Charlotte turns it back over again. This time, Natty slaps the piss out of Charlotte, and Charlotte starts crying. So then, Charlotte ends up slapping her back because she's so hurt, and they end up both rolling. Charlotte ends up rolling as they get close to the rope. Ends up rolling underneath the rope, and then she basically does almost like the Bret Hart post figure 4, except off of the apron, and Natty is basically hanging on from the bottom rope. So they both end up on the floor after that. After Lil Nate ends up breaking up the hole because it's the rope break. So basically after that, Natty ends up they both get back in the ring. Charlotte goes to slap on the figure 4 again, but she looks over at Bret and decides against it and slaps on the sharpshooter instead. This time, Natty ends up reversing, rolling through, and she goes to actually reverse it and put it on, but Charlotte boots her off in the face, and she goes to her knees, and then Charlotte jumps up and then hits the natural selection for the win. So she is now the second ever NXT Women's Champion.
Yeah, it's funny we was talking about that figure 4 sequence earlier because she wouldn't debut the figure 8 until like October that year, 2014. But I'm thinking in this match it would have been a great way of debuting it and beating her. Like right when they do that like second turn, she just puts her hands up, does the figure 8.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they were really trying to get over the natural selection as a finish, but like it just you just can't buy it because it's so low to the ground, you know?
Right. And it's not like it's Seth Rollins' move where he's like literally putting the full weight of his foot on the back of your head. It's just right. It's literally the equivalent of Natalya doing their little step to make you hit your head on the ground.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah. I think the thing is like with the women's division at the time, in NXT anyway, when they came up, with Becky with the disarmor, with Charlotte with the bank statement, with Charlotte with the figure 8, like at that time, WWE wasn't really into making people tap out that much, so they kind of had to change that. So like you watch some of these matches and you're like Oscar Lock 2 as well as like people tap out left and right in the women's division. People don't think of it any different than like if they get pinned, but when people get tapped down when men, all of a sudden it's like a big deal. Like, you tapped out. It's like, well, it's finish. That's his finish. It is what it is.
Oh, I kind of agree to like tap outs hold like a different weight than just beating somebody.
I mean, do they now when like we watch UFC and submissions, you immediately tap out or you lose that, or not lose that limb, but your limb is damaged?
I mean, to some degree, I would say no, but wrestling is wrestling.
Like for me, one of the reasons why like I hate rest holds is because normally it's like it's a sleeper hold, and I'm like, no man, no, that's bullshit. Like that person would be dead. Like so, like for me, like that's one of the reasons why I hate wrestle is like no, there's a way to do that kind of stuff and have it be a working hold, not just sit there and wait for the crowd to rumble to get a person off his ass to go work again. Like, so that's kind of the reason why, like, I hate that. For example, rest holds, for example.
You're talking to the right person about hating rest holds. Always the same. It's always the same one. Like, hey, it's getting to the point where I'm wondering. I'm hoping Great Khali teaches people how to do the nerve pincher.
Oh my god, the nerve hold. Jesus Christ.
Hey, his hands were massive. I believe it.
That is amongst the laziest shit. I'm sorry, it just is. Like, I'm not even gonna, like, put you in, you know, a wrist lock or a hammer lock or a side headlock or a bully choke. I am going to literally not bend at the waist, not the knee, bend at the waist, and just right on your shoulders. Man. So trash.
That's trash. You missed the days of what was his other move called?
Don't tell me the claw. Do not say the claw.
We put both his big ass hands on your head. We're just like squeezing.
Okay, now I never saw none of that because I wasn't watching Great Khali. But if he was doing that, that's the height of laziness too. Like, yep.
I mean, you're talking about a guy whose most athletic move was a big boot.
I would say his most athletic move would be getting his feet up to get over the top rope to get in the ring.
Same level of effort, really.
Got a point. All right, so yeah. So after the match, Ric Flair loses his mind. He takes off the jacket because he will not be confined by clothes. Then, now, or in the future ever, he might be buried ass naked for all we know. So they all get in the ring. They all exchange hugs and congratulations to each other. Rick and Charlotte and Natalya and Brett. They all, you know, give each other pleasant greetings, and then Natty ends up raising her arm and say, "You're the winner. You're the better woman." So then, like, you know how it is. There's two Flairs in the ring after an emotional match, so you already know what it is. Tears galore. Tears.
Crying like there's no tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah. So then we end up getting the match. Ends up starting. The next match is the main event: Neville versus Tyson Kidd. My God. They both come out, no real thrills to their interests or whatever else. So, match starts with
an amazing opening sequence, man. Like,
you want to tell me what it is? Because I'm looking through and I don't really. Oh, because I just wrote it as. Go ahead.
I can't give you the details. I'm probably going to defer to you at that point. I just remember watching and going, "Damn, Tyson Kidd be cold."
Yeah. Well, this is what I wrote in my notes. Like, this match started out like a '90s juniors match or a '90s WCW Cruiserweight match where they trade holds and go back and forth, getting out of holds with, you know, short bursts of action and athleticism, arm drop kicks and arm drags. There's a quick reversal. They exchanges. I'm sorry. They basically keep reversing each other until they're evenly matched, until Tyson sucker punches Neville after previously, like, being easy in the match, like respecting the rope break and all that kind of stuff. So so after second punching Neville, Tyson gets the heat by putting Neville in a tree of woe, and then lifting him up and then kick him in the back over and over and over. And then he runs the opposite corner, comes back with a basement drop kick. Tyson takes Neville down to the mat with a bully choke, and then Neville gets to his feet and gets separation with some gut punches. He goes and tries to charge at Tyson, but Tyson gives him a flapjack, and Neville ends up necking the top rope and rolls out to the floor. And then Tyson ends up hitting he goes through the ropes, and after he gets through the ropes, he ends up hitting like a front rolling dive onto Neville. I thought it was kind of cool. More or less the whole fight, the whole match is one person hits a big move, the next person gets advantage. They go to the top rope and they try to hit a big move on the top rope, and then either there's reversal or a kick out, all kinds of awesomeness.
there was this crazy spot where Tyson Kidd was going for a sunset flip, and of course Neville's athletic ass lands on his feet, and Tyson charges at him. He picks him up and hits a pop-up powerbomb.
Yes,
like,
a sit-out pop-up powerbomb. Yes,
exactly.
Yes. In my various notes, my copious notes, that is way too damn long. I wrote that after he flips off the middle rope after the sunset flip attempt, and it was just like, Ibushi and Johnny Gargano trying to get the best of Ricochet, and Ricochet lands on his feet. It's the same. It's the same variation of like, I thought I was just going to bury this dude, and this dude landed on his feet. What the fuck?
Those are spots that will never go out of style.
More or less, I agree with you. So Tyson, all of it comes down to Tyson goes to has the advantage. He climbs up, and then Neville comes up and tries to give him a superplex. Tyson pushes him down one time. Same thing happens again. Pushes him down for a second time. Third time, Neville gets up and hits a top rope Frankensteiner that sends Tyson falling, crashing, and rolling to the opposite corner. Neville runs, more or less jogs to the next opposite corner, and then hits a red arrow for the win.
And this was amazing. This is like a solid 4 stars. You look at Tyson Kidd, and all I can think is, man, this dude would have killed in 205 Live today. Let him be in the Cruiserweight Classic 205 Live, he would have been killing.
Yeah. Trying to think, when did he end up getting hurt? Was that 2015? Late 2015?
It was a dark match with Samoa Joe.
It was Muscle Buster.
Man, such a disappointment.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. But yeah, after the match, Neville goes to shake hands with Tyson. Tyson declines and actually shoulder brushes Neville on the way out the ring, and we fade to black. So overall thoughts on the first ever Takeover show?
It was a good show. There were definitely some things I didn't like that first match with Adam Rose and Camacho was like that was just bad in my opinion. Like the best stuff, Camacho just doing his little power stuff. Like earlier he did, like in one match he did the double underhook suplex, which I'm like, those suplex variations I'm kind of a mark for because all we get is standard and German. So like that was cool. I was really surprised like how good the Ascension were. Even El Loco, aka Ricardo Rodriguez, that dude is a lot more athletic than I remember. Like, because I've seen him wrestle, but like just him doing moonsaults and stuff was just an odd sight. Charlotte versus Natalya, this is one of their weaker matches because they go on to have a bit better ones, especially when we get to the main roster when Natalya is the SmackDown Women's Champion. But it was still a good match overall. But Neville versus Tyson Kidd stole the show. It was a great main event. I can honestly put this up there with some of the matches I've seen from the bits and pieces of some of the best of the Super Juniors. Not quite at that level, but it's a good match. Let me just put it that way.
I would say that's a match that's around 4 flat. And yeah, like that would be one of the better matches of the best Super Juniors. But it like the top stuff, like that ain't touching though. Like I watched Night. I've only seen Night 1 so far. Like that's not touching Shingo versus your boy Yo. Like nah, that shit was crazy. Like they beating the piss out of each other. But yeah, like it's definitely one of those matches, and it's built to be one of those matches. Like they started out with the foundation of it to me, and it's one of my favorite things. Like it looked like they were starting out like we were building this thing up as if it's a 90s cruiserweight match or a juniors match, whatever you want to call it. Super best Super Juniors, whatever. So I thought it was cool. I thought that the women's match in retrospect, when I remember how it blew me away at the time when I watched it live compared to now, it's surprising because the match doesn't hold up. And that's kind of the same thought that I had at the Arrival show between Emma and Paige. Like for that time, those matches were big ass deals as far as being like these are some of the best women's matches in the in WWE women's history. Now they're good. Like that's kind of where the level has gotten to in the women's division in 5 years or whatever as far as in the ring.
Like that me thinking, like in 10 years, are we gonna be looking back at Okada and Omega like, I mean, yeah, that was good, but this, like,
I mean,
because that's what Meltzer said about the Ric Flair Steamboat trilogy, and I've went back and seen those matches. Those still hold up. But
those things hold up. Like, they beating the piss out of each other, and they're doing some, like, I mean, the pacing. I think the thing that makes those hold up so well is the pacing. Like, their athleticism is on point compared to even now. But like, yeah, there's less flashier moves, but like the energy between those two and the chemistry they had, like they're wrestling in their sleep, like that definitely holds up to this day. Yeah. Now I think that I think that in the future, when we watch Okada and Omega stuff, we'll probably be like, yeah, these matches should have been like, all of them should have chopped off like the first 30 of these matches, because they all start out and they're cool, and then all of a sudden, like, it's that final like 10-15 minute stretch is where the money is for these matches. So, and you can say the same thing for like the last two Gargano Cole matches, where it's like, or especially the last match, because that's a single falls match. The first one is like, you know, they're world building, whatever you want to call it. Their storytelling in the beginning to build up towards that climactic finish. But, you know, I think personally, there's no reason why your match needs to go over 25 minutes. I don't give a damn who it is. Like, unless it's like a multi-person match, I feel like 30 minutes around that time is like the good stop-off point for anything. Like, your match shouldn't really, unless the main event, should not be going past like the length of a TV show without commercials. That's kind of my belief.
Yeah, I wish somebody told Marty Scurll that last year.
Oh wow, the main event of Supercard.
Yeah, not
boy,
All In.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It
was a good match, but like everybody was pissed. Like, bro, what the fuck?
I mean, he was trying to get his 5-star match with Okada. I mean, I think it was like 4.5, but yeah, I get you. What else? I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, I thought this was a good card. I do think that the Sami Zayn match would have been a better match if that spot they were trying to land, those two spots they were trying to land back to back, like panned out in the way they were, but like they were being overly ambitious. You know, like it's one of those things where, yeah, it's cool to try to do this acrobatic stuff, but like y'all are probably practicing, y'all ain't tired, as opposed to like y'all in the match, y'all got this adrenaline, y'all are gassed because of the crowd giving y'all so much energy, and y'all wiped out, y'all are tired, y'all been wrestling hard, and then like while y'all are tired, let's do this thing where it's like a 9.5 out of 10 on the difficulty scale. It's like, that's a little too ambitious. I appreciate it, but like, you know, it's only cool if you finish it off.
All right, gotcha.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it was a good show, top to bottom, especially for that time. Like, that's probably like, at that time, like, that's probably better than the pay-per-views at that point.
No, this is 2014. This is when the Shield fighting Evolution. I'd hold off on that.
What else is on those cards?
I think Cesaro and like
no, because the very first pay-per-view after that is Kane versus Daniel Bryan in that horror show shit.
Oh man, I wanted to give him credit. Well, I tried.
Look, one match. I'm not saying that they're top matches. At that point in time, the best match that you were going to get on a WWE pay-per-view more times than not were with the top guys, of Daniel Bryan, John Cena in a big match, Brock Lesnar. They were going to be better than what NXT had to offer. Now, as far as the quality of the overall show, even from the beginning, now this very first Takeover, it was going to be Takeover, and I think Rich talked about this. The only time Takeover did not have a better show than the corresponding main roster show was the 2018 Royal Rumble, and it wasn't because of the match quality as much as it felt like they got all their shit together. Asuka wins a Rumble, Shinsuke wins a Rumble. We're going to Shinsuke versus AJ Styles, and in this what we thought was going to be something that looked like their Wrestle Kingdom match. We thought with Asuka that we're going to get Asuka versus Charlotte, and it's going to be a kick-ass match. That was a kick-ass match.
Wrong result.
They had that great, they had a great women's rumble. They had a great men's rumble. I'm trying to think what else on the card.
What WWE Championship match was going on at the time?
I can't remember.
Who's AJ Styles was the champion, so he was wrestling some.
Oh, AJ had that handicap match with the Quebecers.
Yeah, it was surprisingly good. I just didn't like the fact that it opened the show.
Yeah, and then then the Universal title was Brock in the 3-way with Kane and Braun Strowman. But I'm trying to think. The women's match at the time was, oh my god, I can't remember. But it didn't really matter because the Rumbles took the precedent on and both they had 2 Chaos Rumbles back to back at the time when we had a good Rumble in 2014. You tell me.
20 people underrate the 2014 one just because Daniel Bryan didn't win, but I think you've said it the same too. Like if you look back at the overall match, it's still a pretty good Rumble.
Yeah, most of these Rumbles are all roughly the same, except for 15, because 15 is just so uninspired and lazy as a storytelling device, but as storytelling mechanism. But other than that, a Rumble is a Rumble is a Rumble, and you can do them well. You can the bottom of them are but if you do them very well and focus on a few things, throughout the whole show where there's always something going on that matters, and then you pay it off with the right person winning, that's all that matters.
Basically.
Yeah. So we're going to do the week after this is NXT. That is June 5th, 2014.
Fun, guys, I'm back.
We're glad you're back. But you kind of interrupted. Match that I clearly had.
I mean, guys, I thought you would be so excited. I mean, you've seen me on TV. I've been on Total Divas every week. I've been in Hollywood on a movie set. Guys, you're welcome. I mean, I've been pretty much putting the BFFs on the map. And, oh my gosh, the infamous sign. Such a good picture, too.
Sorry.
You don't need this anymore, because I'm back.
That's what she thinks.
That is episode 225. Simon, you want to take this one over?
Yep. So we start off with the obvious recap, I should say, of the NXT Takeover, and showing all the big victories and some of the reactions people had. Like you saw Charlotte and Natalya hugging, but you saw Tyson Kidd just being upset that he lost. So the show opens up. Brandy Rose once again announces Tyler Breeze has entered the building. This is hilarious. They should do that with Brock and see what happens.
I'll get booze.
Yeah, they love that heat.
Oh God!
And so the first match up is Mojo Rawley, who in a quick video recap is talking about, last week I got beat, but this week I'm here to win or whatever. And I don't just stay hype. I just whatever that.
I don't just get hype. I stay hyped.
Right. And then out comes Aiden English, and I'm immediately expecting what's his name, Simon Gotch to be by his side, and I'm remembering, that's not the right timeline yet.
Not yet. It's soon though. It's sometime in the next year.
I got you still with the Rosebuds right now.
Yes, and Becky Lynch and Fuck All Night, Tucker Knight, and Carmella and Elias, a true panacea of former WWE or future WWE stardom out of the Rosebuds.
But yeah, so the match is pretty much what you would expect from Mojo Rawley. He's doing a bunch of clotheslines, a bunch of splashes. I don't really remember anything Aiden English did in this match.
Okay, so I've been watching these NXT shows, and typically speaking, it's the match starts. We get 2 splashes in the corner, 2 stinger splashes in the corner, a hip attack, and then a running jumping ass drop. So as he hits the 2 splashes, Aiden English ends up cutting him off and then starts to work him over. And then eventually he has to figure out a new way to get to the running jumping ass drop. And he does, because he's not just a squash guy. He is Mojo Rawley, the ascender to the throne.
And one of my notes I had written down here is, so you mean to tell me in 2014 they couldn't realize he didn't have much of an upside? Your finishing move is the great ass splash. I don't think we need you on the roster.
Yeah, and he's not fat either. Like I think you have to have a big ass to have a decent like ass based offense, right? Like
could you imagine if Naomi all she did was what's that thing called?
The rear end.
Yeah, could you imagine if that was all she was able to do, bruh? I'm sorry, go.
If that was all she could do, then she wouldn't still be in the company because you know why she would still be in the company. They'd be like, "Oh, that's all you have to bring to the table." Oh, but she's a very good wrestler that never really gets the opportunity in spots and tags. She could be a great tag team wrestler. I think that she doesn't. Whatever, we're talking about Naomi. But long story short, I don't think she has the physicality to make you like suspend disbelief the way that the rest of her stuff looks like as far as her flying stuff does. But she's a great flyer. We can move on from there.
Yep. So it ends with him with, like I said, the great ass splash. We get the victory. And then we cut to a backstage interview with Natalya. We're talking about how a lot of people won at the last takeover, but herself and her husband, is he her husband at this point?
Yes, because yes. Before she came out for the match at Takeover, he handed her his wedding ring to hold on to that so he can go wrestle. Even though I would have used it as a weapon, but whatever.
Yeah. Right. Well, so the interviewer asked her, and it's an interview I don't recognize, so you know it's an old show.
Oh yeah.
So she asked Natalya, "Well, you and your husband lost. So how do you respond to the way a kid responded to his loss? Something along those lines."
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, everybody just responds to losses differently, and et cetera, et cetera. Moves right along to the second match of the night, which is Bayley with some of the worst theme music I ever heard. Like the theme at this time is like it's noise. I can't describe it as music. It's just sounds that are making my ears bleed. Versus Charlotte Flair, who's accompanied by Sasha Banks. This is a pretty good match. It's what you would expect from these two. They ain't getting to their great status yet, of course, but it's a solid women's match. Eventually, Summer Rae comes down, and of course, if you all remember, these three were a member of the Beautiful Fierce Females group.
Yes, the BFFs.
Yep. So she comes out. She talks to Sasha for a little bit, which is crazy because you would swear that she was trying to interrupt Charlotte and cause a distraction for Bayley, but that's not how it plays out. Charlotte gets the win with the natural selection. Eventually, Summer Rae gets into the ring with Charlotte and Sasha, starts beating on Bayley. Charlotte and Sasha give each other a look, and they just decide to just join in. Out comes Paige, who's the current Divas champion, and Emma to make the save. Like I said, one of the funniest things about watching these shows is just looking at how everything's set up. Like who's here now that's not gonna be here in the present.
Yes.
Like it's like ridiculous. Like, and I'm guessing this is gonna lead to some match in the next week. I'm guessing, but
yeah, we're definitely gonna get a trios match. Definitely.
Yep. So then we get a backstage segment of all the teams to be put together: Ty Dillinger and Jason Jordan. Keep in mind, this is Afro Jason Jordan. Yes,
this is when he's out here looking like your boy Josh Freeman for the that used to be the Bucks quarterback. Yes. This is his second appearance. This is their second appearance as a tag team on NXT during this run.
That was Jason Jordan and Carlito. I was like, huh?
Oh man,
man. Hey, man, like, I got to talk to you off the air about what you think of his gimmick one of these days.
Jason Jordan's or Carlito's?
Carlito.
I mean, I don't really have much to speak on Carlito, but I mean, since we talk about like things we probably should or should not say on the air, I think I said this before. Like Jason Jordan with that hair looked like somebody that has been told over and over and over and over and over and over and over again by white people that they don't think of as black. So there you go.
It's funny we were talking about this when the certain superstars on or a certain employee is on commentary.
Oh my! Move on.
Moving right along.
Please sprint along. Get out.
The next match is Jason Jordan and Ty Dillinger versus some local indie guys. My immediate thought is this is an incredibly long squash match because that's all that's happening.
Yes.
Just like Jason Jordan and Dillinger getting their moves in, and at one point, Jason Jordan does a back body drop, and I don't know if the indie guy did it wrong or not, but it looked like he was about to land right on his head, and he flattened himself out just in time. It was literally a millisecond from being horrific. Like when AJ Styles did the Styles class on James Ellsworth, and then Styles noticed in time, so he put his hands down to cushion the blow. Literally a split second from tragedy. And then Jason Jordan and Dillinger get the win. Meanwhile, emerging from the crowd is the hippie himself, Juice Robinson, with a sign saying, "May the force be with you." And all types of corny. Then we get another backstage segments with Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, and Summer Rae. Summer Rae's talking about how she's here, she's back. She holds up some sign of her face, which I don't watch NXT on the regular.
Oh,
so
she was an absentee member. So what they would do, Charlotte and Sasha, is they would come out as the BFFs with just them, and they bring out a stick figure of her head and walk her down to the ring. And Summer didn't appreciate that shit.
It would be so much. That Sasha and Charlotte's feud on the main roster would have been so much more interesting if they had incorporated past stuff like that. Like instead of just you ain't got to talk about all of it, but give it a mention here. We were teammates. We did all before there was the horsewomen. There was like little small stuff like that, little extra details.
Yeah, but they rarely ever actually dig into the NXT stuff besides the surface level of they wrestled before in NXT, right? Like they didn't even do that much with the NXT stuff between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn,
which is crazy considering how great those matches are and how it basically is their entire story.
Yeah.
Moving right along, Tyler Breeze comes out to debut his new music video. And he talks about how he became the new number one contender for the NXT Championship. And he calls Neville, and here's what I think this is where I was talking about the ugly stuff before. Mm-hmm. He called Neville the man Maybelline forgot. My immediate thought is, unless you like a talk show host, who's going around just putting on makeup every day?
Yeah. Then he also said it like isn't this the first ever like Joe Rogan joke comparison too here at that point in time?
I think so.
Yeah, because I think the only person to ever bring it up since then was like Miz, and I was like, great, you're just gonna bury this dude while he still is young and has a chance to. He's still in his window. Well, window's passed.
Yep. So he debuts the music video. It's basically just his theme song from the Takeover that's become the song he's associated with today.
Gorgeous.
Tell me what you see, etc., etc. I'm pretty. You're ugly. Yes. With sung to the tune of whatever the auto tune was set at.
Yeah, full gimmick.
I'm just sitting here thinking, man, these people paid tickets to watch something they could have clicked on YouTube for.
Hey,
because this ain't no killer backstage segment. This is just I'm talking.
I mean, for all we know, they didn't even show that They didn't even show that NXT. Like they just played that and then like edited that in. Or they just aired it on the show and then like you didn't even see that during the taping.
That would have been brilliant.
Yeah, because that's how most of the the in between stuff they do, like to set up. Oh yeah, this is what we're doing next week. Like they didn't see that. Like remember, they got to do these shows back to back to back to back, like on the taping.
So we get to the final match of the night, which is crazy considering the fact that last week Neville had an NXT Championship match on this very same show. He's having another NXT Championship match.
Fight champion.
Yep. Before they made it into a gimmick to make baby faces get over when they have no charisma or no other storyline for them. I'm looking at you, Brock. I'm looking at you, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. Neville defends Tyler.
I have no comment for your comments.
because you know it's true. You have Neville versus Justin Gabriel. Once again, it's just something straight out of the cruiserweight division. It's fast-paced, high-flying action. They're both going nuts. And I'm forgetting a few things from the match for the most part, but like so many of these matches with like the same type of wrestler, like with Tyson, because Tyson and Justin, like they were close. Only I would argue Tyson is a bit more technical. Yeah, and Justin does a bit more high-flying.
Yeah, like from what I can see, like Neville. From what I remember, like Neville ends up hitting a cannonball off the apron for a 2 count. We got a phenomenal forearm, which is funny. Northern Light suplex. Gable goes for his 450 splash, but Neville hits him with a kick instead. Yeah, then after that you get the red arrow for the win. I thought it was a good match, but
It doesn't hold a candle to the
takeover match.
WWE's precursor for the Cruiserweight Classic, basically.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but like, overall, a good takeover and good episode of NXT. Like,
yeah, man.
You can see the quality just starts to build and continue to grow from here.
Yeah, man. So thanks for doing the show. Like I said earlier, for those listening, I'm just going to do the NXT from this week without Simon, because Simon has shit to do besides talk about wrestling all day. So thank you again, Simon. Do you want to get your plugs in?
Of course. So you can catch me on Sportskeeda. I'm, as we mentioned earlier, senior analyst. I occasionally write some opinion pieces. Just type in Sportskeeda, my name, Simon Cotton. You'll see my articles. The last one I wrote was about Monday Night Raw's ratings and how, unfortunately, the ratings increased because of Brock Lesnar's return and the whole fake cash-in that never happened. So, yeah. You can also find me on Twitter at SGC Speaks. And, as far as this Friday goes, I'm debating whether I should even watch it because I've looked at the card. The only thing that remotely interests me is Goldberg and Undertaker, but not because I'm expecting anything good. I'm kind of expecting it to be like middle of the road, meandering, because Goldberg has to do quick, fast matches because that's all he really did last time he was here. The Undertaker's good, fast matches didn't even do anything when you think about WrestleMania 34. So I'm thinking if I even watch that, it'll probably be like catching somebody's clip on YouTube. I'm not in the interest of watching that stuff live.
Okay, so for me, I'll check it out eventually, probably. I probably won't watch the whole thing. I'm not sitting around for no 50-man Royal Rumble or Battle Royal, whatever the hell that is. No, thank you. But Andrade Finn, I'll check out. I'll check out Goldberg, Undertaker, just because they're two of my favorite wrestlers ever. Even though they're old and decrepit. I'm trying to think. I can't remember what else on there. The Strowman match, no thank you. The Roman match, no thank you. Like, remember how we were just talking earlier in the show about how Roman, like, is not his fault? Getting booked like this is absolutely not his fault. And what the fuck are they doing? And what the fuck are they thinking? And what? So,
I said, like on Monday Night Raw, Roman better be thinking about his long-term career. He should be like, hey, this is the last time I ever fight one of y'all. I'm talking about Vince. I'm talking about Triple H. I want to have a conversation with Steph, and I dang sure ain't about to wrestle Shane McMahon ever again. Look, I don't want to tag with you. I don't want to see you at a party. I don't want to call you on the phone. I don't want to get no voicemails, no emails, no constant contact, none of that.
Right. I 100% agree. And like at this point, I'm just like, when is Roman just gonna like say I'm done with this shit and just head to Hollywood and start getting roles? Because what's the point of taking bumps if you gonna do this shit for who? For what?
Could you imagine if they lost him out and he pulled a Hogan on them? He's like, man, I'm going to go do movies, and then we.
Oh my god, I'm going to AEW.
That'd be a kiss of death for WWE at that point.
Look, I might not even do the review part of this show now because of how awesome that was. I don't think I can. In the next, 25 minutes where I do the review for Takeover, or for NXT, which would probably be 511 or 510. I won't be able to top Roman Reigns, kayfabing Vince, and going to AEW. I can't top that, but I'll try to make it work. But just in case, I'm leaving that here. But thanks, Simon. I appreciate it.
No problem. Catch you all later.
Later.
Hey, Io, what was that you just did?
I'm not done with Shayna. Shayna を倒すのは私しかいないんだよ。
I'm back, y'all. Y'all are actually going to get a coverage of this week's NXT, believe it or not. I'm not going to be able to top what we did with Roman Reigns leaving for AEW with Simon, but here you go anyway. NXT 510. I'm just going to give you guys the rundown of what happened between the matches, but for the most part, they showed Io Shirai at one point. She says that she's not done with Shayna after beating the hell out of her. You also have the Street Profits backstage after winning the tag team titles in their first ever appearance on the main card for a takeover. They celebrate. There's a bunch of cameras around. They're very happy. They also pull out, they actually bring out the guy that's, I guess, has been covering them when they do all their funny ass, hilarious, charismatic promos, when they do all that crazy stuff walking around the Full Sail campus, and they bring him onto the camera, and he's wearing an original Bro Matt Riddle shirt, and then they basically say, what are you doing wearing that shirt, man? We got to go get you a Street Profits shirt. So then they walk off, and in the backdrop, you kind of see Bianca. So that was cool. And throughout the show, they show recaps of the matches and the story and the kind of the layouts and everything else. And they also hype on the show that there's going to be Kushida versus Drew Gulak. And Gulak talked about his match on last week's takeover, saying that he thought that he was upset that he was going to get that he got pinned by Kushida because he's a submission specialist, and he's said that there was all this talk about him being one of the best submission specialists in the world. Kushida, but he's the best submission specialist in WWE, Gulak, so he was upset that he got pinned, so he wants a submission match next week on NXT. It's been granted. So next week's NXT, that'll be a match. And also another match we'll get, because we heard that, or we were told that Bobby Fish was injured during the ladder match from TakeOver, so you're going back to last year's Undisputed Era tag team of Strong and O'Reilly, and they'll be facing in a rematch from TakeOver Chicago 2, Lorcan and Birch. So I'm sure that'll be a great match. So we're just going to start off with the first match on the show. It was Keith Lee versus Kona Reeves. Kona Reeves is kind of fully morphed out of the Hawaiian Ric Flair gimmick, and he's kind of just dressed in all types of different things. He's trying things out or whatever else. I saw him in an Evolve show a few weeks, maybe a couple months ago. He's out there trying, but he's just not, he hasn't landed on something yet as far as whatever he's trying to do. He just has the means for finest. Anyway, he goes out there and he's in there with Keith Lee. The whole match more or less is that Keith Lee is a monster, and you have a taller but not bigger Kona Reeves trying to come up with different ways to try to put him or take him off his feet. There's really more or less no dice. There's more or less monster selling, and then eventually after the end of all of this stuff, all this different nifty stuff like cut him off the ropes, necking him on the ropes, all types of different things. Nothing works out, and then eventually he pisses off Keith Lee, and then the monster comes out and just beats the holy hell out of him. At the end of it, there's a spot where he hits him with multiple big moves, and then he finishes him off with his finish, the AA looking variation. Keith Lee wins. Hopefully that means he's on to bigger, better things. Maybe put into the card or onto the takeover type of spotlight next. And there's always Dijakovic. You can always do Keith Lee versus Dijakovic. I've been waiting for that match for months. Hopefully they'll get it, and hopefully it'll be at possibly TakeOver Toronto 2. That'd be awesome. The next match, the main event of this show, was Mia Yim versus Bianca Belair. This was a rubber match between their two previous battles. The first match, Bianca won by using her hair for leverage in the middle rope. The second one, Mia used Bianca's hair against her by using extra leverage to have a more devastating finish attack with the knee breaker finish that she has. So I think it's called Protect Your Neck. So this match is the best version of their matches so far. I thought that the second one wasn't as good as the first one. I think that this third one's better than the first one. Most of the match is Bianca getting advantage and injuring Mia's ribs, and they're working over ribs in different points. And every single time, it's all about Bianca trying to injure her ribs more and more and more, while Mia is trying to find reversals and counters to get out of it. The finish of the match is a callback to their last match, their second match from just last week, where Bianca goes to give her a power bomb, but this time Bianca wraps up her hair so that Mia has nothing to grab and then use to put her away with for that finish. So this time Mia comes up and can't grab the hair, so she's able to use some fast thinking, and she's able to get a guillotine choke, and that leads to Mia being seated on the top turnbuckle, and she is able to jump off with Bianca and has her arms in position to land her jawbreaker finish with her knee, and she gets the pin. And it looks like she's on to Shayna next, possibly, or who knows, or maybe this continues, because their run has been pretty good with matches back and forth. And, if there's any, right now it seems to only be like 4 major players in the women's single division. So Io says that she's not done with Shayna. Maybe there's a match maybe there's a part to rebuild Io to get her heat back, to go back after Shayna again. Who knows? But we'll see next week, because next week's going to be a kick-ass show. But that's the end of the show. Be sure to rate us on whatever app you're using to listen to this with. Tell the folks about the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Be sure to check out our friends at powerslam.tv, the sponsor of this show. If you're a fan of independent pro wrestling, they have over 5,000 hours of footage from all over the world. You can use the code Social Suplex to get your free month's trial. Don't forget to visit the prowrestlingtees.com/Social Suplex spot and pick up the official Social Suplex Podcast Network merchandise. Be sure to check out our other shows on Social Suplex. On Sundays, we have One Nation Radio. On Tuesdays, we have Keepin It Strong Style. On Wednesdays, we have the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Podcast. Every other Wednesday, we have Grown Men Watch This Shit. On Thursdays, we have this show, NXT Then Not Forever. On Fridays, we have Get in the Ring. And on Saturdays, we have All Things Elite. Thanks for listening. Later.